It usually does like a 3, 2, 1.
All right.
It sure did. Nice. Okay, so welcome to those who are joining live on Facebook. This is the Artist Speaker Series where we bring in professionals who will share their ideas and experience to help you with business and professional development. Every second Tuesday of each month, now through May, excluding December, we're not going to meet in December, is when we meet. And we meet down here in the underground at Ray Feld's. And so some thank yous we'd like to share is, of course, Ray Feld's for letting us use their space, the Sioux Falls Art Council for fiscal sponsorship, donors both in kind and monetary, and then the Sioux Falls Area Chamber Foundation for past support. And of course, our committee members who make this happen, like Claudia Dale, Alex Lunstra, Angie Lennartson, me, I'm Hannah Stromseth, Anna Flowers, and that is it. So tonight we'll cover how newsletters can be a tool to help artists connect, grow, and sustain their creative businesses. So we're going to answer questions like, who do I send it to? How do I send it? What do I say? So our two speakers here, first is Megan Raposa. What'd you say?
Oh, Alex is going to go first.
Oh, that's okay. I'm going to introduce you first because it's on my sheet first. So Megan is the founder and CEO of Sioux Falls Simplified. She's an award-winning digital news outlet focused on empowering Sioux Fallsians to shape their own future with smarter, easier local news. She has a twice-weekly newsletter that reaches more than 5,000 readers, delivering quick, bullet-pointed updates on things like local government, schools, businesses, and cool people doing cool stuff. Megan recently celebrated 10 years of her journalism career, and almost 5 of them, not quite 5 yet, has been with Sioux Falls Simplified. So we're really excited to have her here tonight. And then we have Alex Lunstra. She is a full-time artist based here in Sioux Falls. She's known for her bright, whimsical acrylic paintings that bring a lot of playfulness and very vibrant colors. Aww. Beyond her studio work, Alex shares her creative energy through guided painting classes at places like Good Natured and Sunny Pizzeria, among a lot of other places. You can actually also hire her to go to different events and help guide your painting classes. Watercolor too, not just acrylic. Alex serves as a gallery manager at Serendipity Studio. She also is an active member in the Watering Can. She's taking over more of Claudia Dale's role here at the Watering Can, being the committee president. Let's see here. Alex is one of the people who I've personally been very encouraged by. I've asked a lot of questions starting my art journey, and Alex has graciously answered all of them without being irritated or annoyed. She's just very eager to help, and she will help any one of you. So it's great that she's on the Watering Can to support other artists. And then the reason why we're here tonight is talking about newsletters. And so Alex actually uses her own newsletters to stay connected with collectors, clients, and different followers. I personally follow her. You all should follow both her and Megan. They come out with some very fun stuff. So guys, I'm just going to take it to you and you do your thing. Right? Here is your microphone, bud.
So I am Alex Lunstra, owner and artist at AL Art and Prints. And I have owned this and been running it since 2020. I have also been running my newsletter through Substack since 2023. So I do want to bring up that I had newsletter on my to-do list since I very first heard about it here at the Watering Can. Came to a meeting, little artist Alex was just starting off, and they said, you should really start this newsletter. And then I kept rolling it around from week to week, month to month in my planner, and then I finally got it started. So if it takes you a long time, if it seems really daunting, that's okay. It is kind of a big step. But if you're at that point, keep thinking about it. Once you've gathered your clipboard and your pen to collect your subscribers, you're really halfway there. That's the biggest step, is just getting started. So I know I do a lot of these speaker events and vending, and I teach art classes and a lot of these kind of outgoing extrovert things, but honestly, they're all a little bit out of my comfort zone, some more than others. It gets easier event after event. But I do like my newsletters. I like using my newsletters to help me connect more with my people without draining that battery so much. Because after I do one of these, I got to go hole up at home for a little bit. I'm putting on sweats, not talking to anybody for a bit. So I use this to help maintain that balance. Now, what to say with your newsletter and who to send it to? For my business, I feel like it's all about making connections. I really want my people to know about my classes and my events, as well as what's going on with me in general. So I do share a lot of pieces about my personal life, my family, things that I would share with my friends. So really, I like sharing things with friends instead of clients. It's not so much customers and things. I'm really making connections and maintaining these with people. So since my business is art and community related, sharing things as I would with my friends just makes sense. Your art purchases really tend to boil down to connection. So a lot of times somebody sees a painting, makes their connection there, but you're going to be a lot more likely to make connections with people if they know you, if they know your personal life, if they know the person behind the paintbrush and everything there. So I do like to collect emails everywhere I go, whether that's my painting classes, whether that's my vending events like the Art Collective or like farmers markets and things like that. I'll even bring this up if my business gets brought up in conversation. So this is really just a more direct list than my followers on social media. So what I mean by that is when people go and subscribe for my newsletter, they have a lot more buy-in. They're actually interested in things. People following on Facebook, maybe they saw one post they liked, clicked follow, and that's all I got. I barely have a little inkling with them there. So make sure you're collecting your emails and things everywhere you're going. Even if you're not ready to get your newsletter started quite yet, start gathering them. You can still let people know, hey, I'll reach out in a little while once I get this rolling. That's perfectly fine. I do not differentiate between my revenue streams personally. I advertise my art in its entirety to all of my audience. So that's my paintings, my classes, coloring books, stickers, t-shirts, so whatever the heck I'm coming up with at the time. Personally, I could differentiate things and have like different streams for each of those. So if you sign up for my classes, you could get a different newsletter than somebody who bought one of my paintings. However, for me personally, I'm one person running my whole business. So I don't really want to spend time on all that. But also I like the opportunity for cross-selling or cross-interest. Maybe somebody met me at one of my guided painting classes and we connected there, and then they see a painting down the road that they really like. That wouldn't have happened if I keep things separate. So you may want to think about keeping things a little separated depending on how your business is. So what I mean by that is like my paintings and classes, I can usually share with everybody. I'm comfortable sharing an invite like I did a few weeks ago I did a community chalk art mural with the Jacobson Plaza. So I didn't mind sharing that announcement with all of my people. However, I also just got an album cover gig with a local band. Me sharing that and saying, hey, I just got a collaboration with Misty Cans and the Horny Toads. They're a cool local band, but that title may not go over with all my people. Maybe not the gal who I did a birthday party for her 9-year-old daughter. So that's where differentiating might be worth your time and maybe something you want to look into. I do tend to blend a personal monthly update. I'm going to say monthly because that's my goal, is I try to let everybody know what's going on with me personally and my family once a month through my newsletter. This summer got a little bit busy, so I think it was like the 4th month by the time I got out there. But I really just like sharing things and keeping that connection going. Even if I'm busy as heck with classes and things all summer long, I don't have time to be out there engaging with people and having coffee with somebody who's interested in my art and things, but I can put the time into newsletters and still actually make those connections. And it's not like a half-hearted thing either. So I'm sharing and building trust and building those connections. Now for my classes, that's the other aspect that I advertise with my newsletters, is I want to show people exactly why they should be buying a ticket for my class. So I share photos in my newsletters from all my past events. So every time I'm teaching classes, you may notice I start off with a little intro of, hey, can I take pictures and use them for promotional purposes? And gathering a database. So every time I go back and do classes later on, I can say, hey, look at these pictures from Glacial Lakes. This was such a fun class. This is why you want to come back again. It's going to look kind of like this again in a few weeks. So making sure to tell people why, giving them that buy-in. I also like to list out all the different amenities with each of the places. I know I advertise a lot through Facebook, and people may see my events come through on like that all events and emails and things. But my newsletter is where I can really go in depth and say, Sonny's Pizzeria is where you want to go because he's got local pizza. He's got 4 local beers on tap. Everything's local. He supports local. He's got a local artist in there doing that. And it's a small business where he takes care of his people. So I really like promoting all those little individual things about each venue. And then I also make sure to give a link to the website. So once you've read through and you're like, oh, I want to do that, it's easy. You click and you go to my website and you buy your tickets. So another thing that I do, but not as often as I should, is I also share my new paintings and projects that I've been working on. So this is a good way that I can reach out to all my customers and say, hey, latest works in progress or latest pieces completed. And I'm not outright saying it, but they kind of have first dibs. If somebody's following that and they like what I do, they can reply back to the email and say, oh, hey, do you still have it? Where is it going to be? So I like that it's keeping a little more connection. They don't just have to randomly walk into a gallery or Glacial Lakes and see my pieces there. Now, really, for your guys' newsletters, it's anything you want to share with people, whatever you need to make connections. Maybe you don't want to tell them about your family. That's all right. It lines up with my business model, and I don't really mind it. You do know that down the road, maybe my stepkiddo is going to be a little PO'd. She's in all the pictures and everything on my website. But that's just something that I'm willing to look at and work with. So maybe you want to tell people all about your artwork or what inspired you to do it, or maybe you found materials for your art. Tell your audience all about it. Give them buy-in. Usually at events and shows and things, we just have a brief period of interaction with people. But if you send them that email, they might take 10, 15 minutes to read through a whole long thing if you'll write it up for them. So there's what you can say in your newsletter and who you can say it to. I just tell everybody everything, but you decide what you want. Now, how I do my newsletter, I use Substack personally. If you go to substack.com, you can walk right through getting started. It's really slick. I have no intentions of moving. It's user-friendly. It's free for my purposes. I believe once you go up to like some of the paid tiers and you start monetizing it, you pay them a percentage. But even if I end up expanding into that, I'll probably stick with Substack. This format lets me easily write up really professional looking newsletters. It also lets me schedule newsletters. So once a month when I book all my classes, I can also go through and schedule 6 different emails to go out scattered throughout that month. And then it looks like I'm really staying on top of things, even though there's just 24 hours of productivity. So not only does it let you schedule things and plan your business a little better, it lets you see who is reading. So I don't know all of the exact specifics, but it shows you how many opens, and it also gives you like star ratings. So it'll show me if Hannah has read all the way to the end of every single one or not. So I can see when my grandma got bored and decided she's no longer reading my newsletter. But it's nice because you have a little bit of a grading system and you can see, all right, I really need to get my important things out in the first couple paragraphs or something like that. So for the stats, I really like to compare and see what is best for me to put my time into. Is that Facebook posts? Is that SMS texts? I'll talk a little more about that in a minute. Or is it maybe email newsletters? Or is it going around and hanging physical posters at places throughout town? So my Substack shows me my stats, and I can see that I average 100 to 200 views for every newsletter. Now, I'm not quite as... I don't have the establishment that you have, but with my 225 subscribers, that's pretty good stats. So within 48 hours of sending out an email, I've got 100 to 200 eyes on it. And not only that, but it's 100 to 200 eyes that I know are interested. They didn't just follow me on Facebook for a cute post I made 3 months back. So to me, that's a much better rate of return than my social media posts. For comparison, my Facebook has 940 followers and my post average 100 to 1,500 views. That's usually after a week's worth of time though. You may notice, just like how you see scrolling through, events and things like that tend to pop up after the fact. So you're fighting the algorithms, and then you don't even know if you're getting it to the right people when you're showing it to people. So I'll bring up again, the silly posts tend to get the most. This is a good place to build your trust and build your, I don't want to say frivolous connection, but you're not building business connections. You're building the personal connection there. So on Facebook, posts like a picture of my latte from the cat cafe is shown to everybody. But my post announcing that I only have 2 tickets left for a class doesn't really get shown to that many people. So once you're mixing in your live videos, your reels, and then if you're researching this like I do, you're spending a lot of time on your marketing that may not even get to the people you want them to or in the right time frame. My Substack newsletter has a targeted list of people who like what I do. I send an email out directly to them without any algorithm getting in the way. Now, I still have a junk box and they still have to click on it and want to read it and all that, but I'm not fighting all these things just to get to their eyes. So with most of my people seeing the update in time, it's a lot more worthwhile to send out email newsletters than social media posts for me. I have one last thing that I want to touch on really quick, partially because it's really new to me, so I'm not as informed with it, but I also started marketing with SMS texts. So I got a toll-free number for my business, and now I can send out texts to my subscribers. This does have a little bit more regulations and things, like you can't call people before 9 or after 9, all this stuff. So you want to make sure you're following all those. But this is a way I can get in people's pockets a lot quicker. They don't have to open up their email. You see a text, usually it comes up right away for you. So, although you have to keep things a little bit shorter, I'm not going to be sending out a 10-minute read via text with 15 pictures of my last event, but I can send out posters or last-minute updates. Personally, and I think for a lot of artists, a lot of our stuff comes up very last minute. Even when I'm getting gigs with the city, it seems like I have less than a week to reach out to my people and let them know. So if I can send them a text and say, hey, I'll be at the Jacobson Plaza doing a community chalk mural in 2 days, I can actually get it out to people. So if you want to look at SMS texting, we can chat a little bit. I can at least get you started and find other people to help you out more. But overall, is if you haven't started a newsletter of sorts, choose your platform, start collecting your emails, and start connecting to your people. Make sure you think about how you want your business to be branded and what you want to share with everybody. And it's kind of as easy as that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's incredible. I took so many notes while you're talking because it like spurred a lot of thoughts for me of, you know, we are going to cover a lot of the same ground, but I'm excited to kind of I'm coming at this not as an artist, but as a journalist. And so, I think for me, like it all started with like the why, you know, why choose email as the medium, and for me as a journalist, it's that direct line to the people that I want to serve. And as an artist, it's that direct line to your customers. And it's not, you're like Alex said, you're not fighting the algorithms. People have given you their email address, so they're expecting to hear from you. So you're not, you know, you're not disturbing folks. They want to hear from you. And you're also, it's like, I wrote down while you're talking, social media equals like brand awareness, but email is where that relationship building and ultimately conversion to paid customers. Because, and I will talk more about that later on, but really, like I said, the benefits of newsletters, you own your audience. You know, you can change if you decide to leave Substack or for whatever reason, or, you know, you take all your emails with you and you have all of those people's contacts, you know, that's not going anywhere. It's not like, you know, Instagram could decide tomorrow that like, they're not going to serve up local news anymore. And then it's like, well, I guess I'm SOL for the thousands of people that follow me on Instagram. What am I supposed to do? It's like you've got like a guaranteed reach. I also think as someone who subscribes to a lot of email newsletters, including a lot of artist email newsletters, it's cool to see, it's like a little peek inside your head and like how you work. And as someone who is not at all visually creative, it's very, very fun to have that insight, of that, like, here's what I'm working on, or here's what I have coming up, or here's an event, or here's a, it's like kind of fun as a consumer to receive that information. At risk of copying too much in terms of like, who do I send it to? I literally wrote down anyone and everyone who will give you their email address. If you're going to, like, if you're tabling at an art show, or like a, outdoor thing, collect emails from everybody that stops by your booth. You can ask your social media audience, say like, hey, if you really want the latest updates, make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter. I sometimes will do, and I've tabled at some of the artsy events, even though I'm not artsy. And I'll do I'll give away a tote bag. Christy Wire, local graphic designer, designed this really cute Sioux Falls Simplified tote bag for me. And they cost like $6 to print. So it's like I'm out, $6, and I'll get maybe 20 or 30 email addresses. It's like, that's a huge get. And, I know, that we were talking about like list size and stuff, and like, yes, I've grown to, more than 5,000 email subscribers. But when I launched Sioux Falls Simplified, I had 100, and that 100 came mostly because I have a big Catholic family. And I'm generally a social person. So it was like begging people to sign up. But it really grows, like, as people find your content and connect with you. And sometimes that's on social. A lot of times that's in person. Sometimes it's things like this. I'm going to make you all give me your email addresses after this. You're just kind of hustling. And it's a nice way too for people, that awkwardness of like, oh, I really like your art. Oh, I'm not going to buy anything right now, but your stuff is really cool. I love what you're doing. Like, an email address is an easy thing to be like, I can give you this right now. It's like, it's not a purchase, but it's at least something. And it's maybe a promise of a purchase in the future. So like, as a customer, it feels like at least like I don't know. I think of it that way. It's something they can do for you. In terms of growing your list, I mentioned the giveaways. I think some of the other things that are clever are like cross-promotional things. There's a lot of local, you talk about like I don't think Sunny's has an email list, but like, I feel like if they would, I'd be on it. I feel like I'd be on it. 2 blocks from my house, and John's
I managed it for a couple of years. I should know about that.
I don't think they do, but some places do. And then they, if you're doing events, like, it's cross promoting, or like, I do some, I've tabled with like Bronze Age. They do their art market or whatever, and like, they send out stuff, and like, there's, so it's getting on those kind of, getting people to cross promote you. I'll cross promote you. I love doing that kind of stuff. So like, send me your newsletter. But I think that's important too. And then, sometimes even just those Instagram giveaways, you don't have to give away anything too fancy, or you can team up with other artists or other creators or other businesses and say, hey, I've got, I'm willing to contribute this little print, and you can get a candle from Matchbox, and you can get, a tote bag from Megan, and you can get whatever. And then people, you follow, whatever. So that can kind of help. The other thing is, like, if you really are serious about scaling your email newsletter, like, you get it started, you've got some people, you really just want to like expand your reach. I've had a decent amount of success with just some like paid acquisition on Facebook and Instagram. Your cost per lead is going to vary a little bit, but if you have like an eye-catching, you guys are all artists, so you'll have something eye-catching and visual, to kind of hook people to sign up and give their email address. That can be an effective way to just scale things up a little bit. You do probably have to invest a couple $100 to do that effectively, but it can be kind of a level up, or a way to like double really quickly or something like that, if you're looking to really grow. In terms of the like how to send it, there's so many tech options out there. Substack is one. I run my whole website on a platform called Ghost, which is similar to WordPress in that it's open source technology, but it has an integrated email service provider. So I really like that. And it's also cheap, which is up my alley. But there's plenty of other, especially when you're just starting out and your list size is small. There's like Flowdesk, or there's, depending on if you have a website, maybe your website hosting has some kind of, email integration, or MailChimp is a popular one. I think it gets expensive as it tiers up, but so do most things. So it's kind of, but there's plenty of stuff out there. There's not a right or wrong answer. I would just if you can find a free option for something, start there, and then you can always change it or switch, or you don't have to, or whatever. But there's, just starting small, starting with something. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be as simple as, I have an Excel spreadsheet with a list of email addresses, and I'm going to BCC all of them and then send it to myself. And then that's my email. And it's just straight in the Gmail platform. Like, I'm sending this email to you. That's a really, if you're just starting, that's not a bad way to do it. You can't track your open rates or metrics or whatever, but it's something. And then the part that I really wanted to focus on with this is just the what do I say? What do you put in an email? And I think it really starts with a subject line, which is, can be tricky. You don't necessarily want to overthink it, but I think leaning on your own personality in your writing and leaning on your style, think about the kind of emails that you open up as someone that gets emails. Sometimes it's there was one I opened. I have to share this example because it was a really good one. Dreamfolk Studios, Emily something, I can't remember her last name, sent an email. I met her. She did a pop-up at Tara Shepherd Boutique a year and a half ago. And I got on her email address or email list. And I thought her stuff was really cool, but it was, it was one of those days I can buy a sticker, but I really like her stuff. And she sent an email a couple weeks ago that was just popping in to say hi. And I clicked on it, and she talked about her summer, and she talked about, it was I've just been spending, I haven't sent an email in a few months, but I've just been spending time enjoying life's simple pleasures and thinking of, I was thinking of all of you and whatever. And it was so sweet and so simple and so personable. And then I was oh, I loved her stuff. And then I clicked through, and then I ended up buying a print because I thought I was oh, it reminded me she existed. It reminded me that I liked her stuff. And it was immediately oh yeah, no brainer. So it could be as simple as just if you send enough emails, you might just catch somebody on the right day where they're oh yeah, I was looking for, I need something to hang in my office, and I really like her color schemes, and it was just really neat. I also think people want to hear your story. As a journalist, I spent a lot of my life thinking about how to craft a compelling narrative and how to pull out the most interesting pieces of something. And as artists, you're doing that visually, right? But it's really just thinking about, what about what I'm doing might be of interest to other people, or how can I kind of give people a peek behind the curtain, or, here's my process. Here's what I'm thinking about. Here's what I'm inspired by lately. Here's something that, that's bringing me joy in some small way. And or here's, and maybe it's an anecdote about your family, or maybe it's, whatever your comfort level is. But on a week like this one where it's cold and rainy, it's maybe it's something of hey, here's a little sunshine for your inbox. It's cold and shitty outside. Let's do something. Let's get you some color. So those kinds of things, or, maybe it's, we're coming up on the holiday season. Maybe it's hey, here's 5 gift ideas that support local artists. And I'm just spitballing now, but it could be cool.
That's genius.
Yeah, everybody go do that. And then I'll buy more of your stuff. And then, I think in terms of, I think it's easy to get hung up on the frequency of well, if I start a newsletter, then I have to send something every month or every week or every whatever. And I think it matters. You don't want to send one email and then never show up again. I don't think you're going to convert people that way. It's not very strategic. But I don't think anybody's well, Alex sent me an email on the 7th of the month, and it's the 7th of the next month, and I haven't gotten an email. It's I don't think people are paying that close attention. I think if you just continue to show up when you can, how you can. You know, it takes a lot for me, and maybe this is just me, but like it takes a lot for me to get annoyed by emails from, especially from a local business or from an artist. Cause you're not going to send me stuff every day, and it's not a hard sell. Like, it's not the emails like 24 hours left to get 50% off this weird mushroom coffee you saw on Instagram. It's like, here's what I'm doing. Here's my process. And it's all this like relationship building kind of slow burn. And you can do that. You can do that weekly. You can do that monthly. You can send me something twice a year and I'll just be like, oh yeah, that guy. And then it's like, oh, cool. I wouldn't stress about that if that's something that's stressing you out. If it helps you to have deadlines, like for me, it does, then set yourself little deadlines, but nobody else is paying attention. I send my newsletter at 5:56 a.m. every single Wednesday. If I sent it out at 7:30, I don't think anybody would. I mean, maybe some people would be like, did Megan get hit by a bus? Like, are you good? It's like, no, I don't know. It's like I did it once and I've kept doing it, and I don't think anybody knows but me and now all of you. A couple of other just like kind of hacky tips. Ask people to reply to your email. Have some kind of question. Have some kind of like, it doesn't have to be anything like too deep or crazy. I send a welcome email series and I ask people every time, what's the best meal you've had in Sioux Falls? Because people eat out a lot here. When people reply to your email, it's much more likely to show up in their inbox, in their primary inbox. And just, it's sort of that algorithmic thing of like, this is a legit sender. I want this email. Please serve it up to me at the top, you know. So replies are good. Also some kind of like call to action. If it's not a purchase, then, you know, you say like, hey, check out my new winter collection here, or make sure you're following me on Instagram, or visit my website, or, you know, just some type of thing where like, if I get to the bottom of the email, there should be at least some other step I can take. Because if you've got someone's attention that long, get them on your website, get them on your social media, get them, you know, get them one step closer to add to cart or whatever, you know, whatever you're ultimately trying to get them to do. And you know, you can kind of continue to be as savvy as you want in terms of like segmenting audiences or following up. But I think that all gets kind of, I don't know. I think you just got to start small and simple. And I wanted to share a couple of examples, and they're not all artists, but just some email newsletters that I really like. So Zach Dresch, comedian, local comedian, he sends out email newsletters, and like, it's usually like a paragraph about how his week is going and then his list of events. So you can see like, oh, cool, he's doing a show at Icon or whatever. And it's like, cool, I like Zach Dresch. I like to know what he's doing. I don't get out much because I have 2 young children, but it's cool to like, I feel in the know. And then one of these days I'm going to make it to Tuesday night trivia at Fernson, and it's going to be really fun. I also really like, from a narrative standpoint, Lori Walsh with SDPD has her own email newsletter, and it's just these like beautiful little like narratives, and you know, it just feels like a warm cup of coffee reading through it. And so it's just a really nice like way to share creativity and like find a moment of zen. There's also, and this is an example of how tenuous the relationship between you and a customer can be to still be a relationship. There's a greeting card company called Tiny and Snail. It's 2 sisters from Rapid City. I know them because I went to high school with their little brother a long time ago. But I follow them on Instagram, and they have like, you know, they have a really cool story, and there's some like healing journey kind of stuff. Anyway, they tell a really good story and narrative, and they talk about like the card stock of their greeting cards in a way that makes you like immediately want to buy it. It's like just such a visceral, tactile description, and that kind of stuff is really, it's really satisfying to read. So those are a few examples. That's kind of all I have, but do we take questions, or what's the best way to?
Yeah, I was thinking we'd open this one up and hopefully, right? I know. I like to split up with you. By the end of just one with me, I'm like, okay, you guys didn't leave. But no,
Good time, team.
if we have questions, but we should pass the microphone.
Okay.
So we'll keep one up here,
Okay.
one on the audience.
I'll take it off.
Questions. Now you have to. We love time for you guys.
I have a question. All right. Hey, Alex, question. So when you're at like vending events and doing all the things, painting classes, do you have like a physical sheet that you have for people to write their emails down? Do you have like a QR code?
Good
Like, how does that work?
question. So I do have, and I have both of them here with me if you guys want to sign up before you leave. I have a clipboard with a sign-up sheet for my newsletter email list. And my new fancy thing, my SMS texting with my toll-free number, there's a little QR code that you scan back there. And if you scan that, it pulls it right up. You text ART to my 877 number, and then you're in the loop. So either one of those, but I just have them at my table, and honestly, like at my classes, I do make sure to bring it up and tell people, hey, I have this over here. If you want to sign up for it, we'll keep in touch. I even send out coupons and deals sometimes. But worst case scenario, you don't say it, you have it there, you still get people seeing it. So even if you're in one of those awkward, quiet days, it's okay. It's still doing something. There's plenty of times I get done with the class. I'm like, oh, crap. All right. Well, we only got 2 emails that time. So that's how I do mine.
Anyone else have some questions?
Well, where'd it go?
That was a lot. I mean, it was a lot, but it was interesting.
It is a lot. Well, I get it.
I don't have a question, but I don't know. I have a comment, I guess. I'm an idiot and I didn't realize I have a newsletter. So I took over a figure drawing group in Brookings. Like the person in charge left. She's into grad school now. Last week I was talking to an individual. He's like, "Oh, you're the one who sends out the newsletter." It's like, well, it's an email reminding everyone that we have drawing on Wednesday. I send it twice a week. But now I'm realizing I should probably be doing a whole heck of a lot more than, hey, Elena's going to be modeling Wednesday. Be there at 7. Thanks, guys, with 4 people. Actually, I do have a question for you. You said earlier about you have some sort of call to action where you have people reply.
Yeah.
I had a giant mess from like 5 people. Like, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be there. And so I put in, well, I had my wife create like a Google, oh gosh, what is it? Survey. So with the survey, I know how many people are going, and now I don't get 5 reply all, 3 reply to you individually. Another person sends an entirely separate email. So how do you keep track of all of that with your call to action, I guess?
Yeah, if you're asking for replies, don't ask for like actual important information. Because then if you don't reply to it, or if it gets lost for a long time, like that's why I ask people their favorite meal. Because it gives, then it's like, even if it takes me a week to respond, I can be like, oh yeah, I still haven't been to Maury's. Sounds great. You know, I don't get out much. Haha. You know, thanks for signing up. Cool. Bye. And then, you know, and then if I never get to it, I never get to it. And that happens too. But I think, you know, I mean, if you're trying to actually get information, you know, I think the Google form's a good idea. I don't know. There's really smart ways that people sort their inboxes, and I don't do that, so I don't know how to do that. But the technology exists. Yeah, I don't know. But if you're like, a lot of times a call to action too is just like, go to my website, check out my, you know, check out my new thing I just finished, or I'm really, people like hearing what you're proud of too. I feel like it's okay to kind of hype yourself a little bit. It's like, hey, I'm really proud of this piece I just finished. I hope it brings you some joy as well. And like, you know, just get people to click and look at it. So.
I don't think I have anything for that. But yeah.
I have a question. So you're talking about this newsletter. One of my questions is follow up. I guess, do you, with that question, like if it's an overall question that you're asking, like how's your day, what's your favorite place to be, do you kind of just follow that up with the next do your next newsletter and say, hey, this is like what majority people had said, or what, like, just because you don't know how to reply to all of those, right?
Yeah.
So then it just like,
And you
overall,
don't get as many replies as you think. Like,
Yeah.
It's pretty sporadic. And even like, even sending something out to thousands of people, it's, you get maybe a couple that will actually reply.
Right, yeah,
I think they know it's a little bit.
like, yeah, just, so like, yeah, with your, personal, like more personal questions, you'd ask them like directly, just email them.
Yeah. And then it's like a nice
yourself.
it's just one more little point of connection. Like, and it usually, like I said, you don't usually get that many. So it's usually
Yeah.
not too hard to go back and, like I said, even if it's a few days later or a week later, to just go back and be like, oh, thank you so much. And you can kind of, you can continue the conversation, or you can just kind of leave it as like oh, that's great. Me too. Thank you so much for, replying. I hope you've been enjoying whatever. But I think even just that, like, I don't know if you've ever responded to like a math, like it's not a reply all situation, but like if you subscribe to a newsletter that you like, just try it sometime. Just try responding to the email, and just like, cause I'll do this sometimes as someone in the newsletter industry. I'll see another local news outlet and I'll just be like, hey, that's a really cool segment you did on like featuring, that was a really clever, ad placement, or that was a really smart idea for a story. And just like a little like, and then, sometimes they'll reply and be like, thank you so much. Feel free to steal that idea or whatever. Oh, that's the other thing I meant to say too, is like follow other people doing newsletters. And like most of the time, I feel like people aren't too gatekeepy about how they do things, or, like logistically. There have been people that I've responded and like, how did you get that to look like that? Like, what platform are you using to do that fun little quiz? Or like, how did you make it? And people are usually pretty receptive. So like, follow other people doing what you want to be doing, and just,
Yeah, I think one of the
no need
cool
to reinvent the
things
wheel.
that would be cool to be able to do is like do like coupons, or like little tiny things on the like the bottom of it. Say like, hey, if you reply to this or say this email, and then you can purchase my thing at like 25% off.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a great idea.
absolutely. Yeah.
Just because it kind of goes on with that. I can do it through my email newsletter also, but the SMS texting, that through that system, it had me. Now I had to do a little bit of coding to get it on my website. That took a lot of Googling, but but I've got a pop-up ad on my website now. So if you go there, it pops up a little thing right away, and I've got a cute picture. It's like me leaning over some flowers saying, hey, you want 20% off? And you give me your email or phone number through there, and it gives you a 20% off coupon. So it helps out with that, but it makes it super slick and like automated. So if you guys scan that QR code in the back there and you do the text and you sign up for it, I have it timed. So after a few days, it'll send you your coupon. After a few days, it'll send you and ask for your name. And then after a few days, it also sends and asks for your birthday, so you can get a free class for your birthday. So there's different formats that you can figure out, and they will help you plug all these things in, or you can manually figure it out too. But yeah. Okay, that's what I got. Yeah, lots of swearing at the computer.
This one is for you, Alex.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to get right to business and ask. Doing a newsletter and email, obviously it's work. And have you noticed an increase in your sales or an increase in selling your classes? Like I know you can see who reads it and stuff, but have you noticed an actual benefit to it for your purchasing of artwork?
So I'm working on doing some like exit surveys in my classes, because right now I'm just like manually asking people like, oh, how did you get over here? Because on my newsletter, it shows me how many link clicks I have. But I went through like the last year and I consistently have one link click each time. But I have lots of people telling me that they're getting tickets because they saw my newsletter.
Okay.
So because they're seeing my newsletter, they remember to go back. My website always has all my classes on it. So I think that's what's happening, but I do need to get to the bottom of it a little more.
Yeah.
But it is not so much through the Facebook events and things. When I have 100 people interested in an event, I might see 2 of them at it. And that's a good day. I mean, a lot of these times the event interest is not actually reflective of who goes there. If you look at the watering can event for this evening, it was probably a lot more than this.
Right. So you do get more traction on
So
your
I-
newsletter versus social media kind of posts.
I do, from what I'm picking up as I'm asking people. But I think my Facebook is just my little obnoxious reminder as they're scrolling through and doom scrolling at the end of the day or on their lunch break or whatever it is. So I'm constantly reminding them about who I am personally there. And then my newsletter is coming out and saying, hey, this is why you want to come to Good Natured this week.
Okay.
So I do think it's a combination of the two, but I know my newsletter is a lot more direct and tells you more of the information.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks.
I have another question. So my brain goes to like worst case scenario, right? So you have this email newsletter and it's going great. You get a lot of subscribers. And then all of a sudden your following is telling you that, oh yeah, your newsletter went to spam. Has that happened to you? What do you do? How do you get out of the spam box? Or is there ways, I know you mentioned like to get into their primary folder, you have them respond. Like, is that another trick to continue to stay out of the spam box?
Yeah, I think. I'm
And if you've never had it happen, that's amazing.
No, I've definitely had it
just scared.
happen, but
Press it one more time. I think it.
now it's green. Okay, sorry, my bad. I got too excited. It's happened to me. I don't know. There's probably a million ways to do this, but like something that I think helps a little bit is just having an initial, like when you sign up, you get like a little welcome email from me that I've set up automated. And, it just says like, hey, you know, add me to your contact list or drag this email into your primary inbox if you're on Gmail, and then that'll make sure that you hear from me. I don't know if anybody's actually done that. I don't know, but like my open rate has stayed around 50%, which is pretty solid. So, I don't know. Do you have any tips?
Yeah,
It happens.
I think I'm going to say about the same thing though. Like I do get that feedback where people are, it's always like my sweet little ladies at Active Generations. And they're like, it's never going in, but I'm like, but you're looking for it. So I just bring it up when I'm like at my tables and I see people signing up for it. I make sure to say like, oh, when I add you into the system, it'll send you an automatic email. So I try to tell them like, if it's art collective, I know I'm going to be overwhelmed. I'll get it done in the next 2 weeks. And then you can expect an email to come in right away. So keep an eye out for that and get it moved from your junk to not junk. So again, I'm just kind of talking with people about it, but also I share my newsletters on Facebook. I try to do it consistently with every single one. So hopefully if it went to your junk, you see a little reminder on Facebook and you're like, oh yeah, actually getting around it. I don't know. But it's not the algorithms. It's better than Facebook. You have more?
Oh, no. I wish I knew more, but
I'm still getting a good read rate, just like you are. So it's at least better. I know we know the junk drawer's out there, but it's not as bad as Facebook.
About, like, if I ever send something to spam, it's only because it looks the same constantly all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I'll get annoyed. And I will say, this is enough of
Yeah.
this. That's right. So, but I do actually follow several newsletters. And if I think that they're constantly changing and constantly actually giving information that I can follow or I like, then I'll keep it up on my feed and I don't mind seeing it. And if I have time, I'll read it. But, most of the time, if it looks consistently the same, I'm just like, nope.
Or like AI, I know I've noticed a lot of people where they consistently, or it's copy paste, and like I copy and paste to try to do some of my similar formatting, but you got to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
You don't want people like, oh, here's the robot again. Nobody cares. Yeah.
I was going to worry about that or ask you about that because, again, I wasn't aware I had a newsletter. I was copying and pasting. Like, I have a form we're meeting. Do you guys use AI or anything like that at all?
I'm going to start with this because I've been having some conversations with other people too. So I feel gross about it, but I do use a little bit. I know. So here's my thing is I don't like it for art at all. And I really don't like its impacts on the environment. However, like the other day I was looking at it, I'm like, I'm now working 1 day a week at the gallery. I'm insistent that I'm not going to get another real job. So I plugged in all my stuff to chat GPT. I'm like, here's where I make 30% of my income. Here's the other 30% of my income. Here's my breakdown of all my stuff from art. What are some ways that I can expand? So I'm like, I can't get spread any more thin right now, but I need to figure out how to maximize what I'm doing here. So I had a little conversation and I was really thoughtful about what I'm inputting, and also not just like reading it and closing it and then losing all of that work. No, I saved that entire conversation, and now I have a pretty good little business plan for adding on and expanding a few things over the next couple years. So although I don't like it, I'm using it on very specific things like that. Like that was the most useful 20 minutes that I've had in the last 3 weeks is sitting there and having this little conversation that's actually getting me somewhere. Now, again, I know it's gross and some of the ethics and things. All the businesses are using it. Now, I know that's not the reason that you can, but I don't want to get left behind. And if it can save some of these things that are really big headaches, like Googling how to put code into my freaking website, I just want to paint and teach people to paint and do community art projects. So I think at the end of the day, if I'm doing it for the right reasons and I'm being conscientious about it, and I think I've used it like maybe 3 times, including stuff at the gallery. So I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but there's what I'm doing, and hopefully I didn't just turn anybody way off with things. On to you, Megan.
Yeah.
On the business side.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Major business side.
Yeah, it can really
big
help.
time.
You know, like you said, it allows you to do your art. Spend more time doing your art.
I think the thing is too, like AI's been around for a long time. Chat GPT is a little different. That's an AI tool, but like think of like I've had this system called Grammarly on my email for the past like 7 years. And that's technically an AI tool that's telling me when I misspell a word in my email. But I never thought of it as AI. It was just like a business tool. So there is tools out there that is AI, has been AI for like 50, I don't know how many years, but decades, but it just hasn't been labeled as AI. I think there's a lot of scary things that people have done with AI, and there's a wrong way to use it, but that's not really what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I don't use AI for any of my writing. I'm people ask me that a lot. It's like, how much of your newsletter is AI? It's like, my whole career is based on the fact that I'm a writer. Why would I outsource the one thing that I can do? Yeah. So the writing, like, you know, and you want to sound like a human. Like I want people to read my newsletter and know that there's a human behind it. I do just like you. There's one specific use case I have for AI, and it's this tool called SeeGov, SeeGov, and it takes public meetings and makes it easy to do little clips of them. So I can share clips on YouTube of government meetings, and you don't have to watch a 3-hour city council meeting. You can just get the highlights, like it's like a football game or something. That's my AI usage, and I feel really ethically tricky about it, and I'm gonna have to like plant some trees or something. I don't know, but it is a tool, and like you said, you know, we're spread pretty thin, so
Technically, even writing all of your emails and then getting it put in your system to like send out automatically, that's an AI tool.
Yep.
You know, so everybody's using AI, they're just not thinking about it.
I will say one of the things that I heard somewhat recently that made me a little more, okay, maybe I'm not so for this. I've been listening to these Art Storefronts has Art Marketplace podcast, and they talk about, it's a lot of pushing what they do. It's like a digital platform that will sell all your stuff on their own website. They've got a cool AI tool, so it'll like take your voice clips and it can describe your paintings to possible customers and things. So it's this whole thing, and a lot of it is trying to sell it to you, but a lot of it is good information. I listened to an interview with a wildlife photographer, and I can't remember his name or anything, but he worked with a company that was specifically like they'd go and do photography trips, but the whole idea was that it was ethical. So they're going out to like the African savannah and things, but they're doing this the right way. And they use AI to do a lot of their all the business background crap, and they offset it because that's what their company is. It's all about hiking and photography and treating the world right. So I do, like, again, plant some trees, we drive our cars every single day without a second question. I don't think this is any different. We're just all of a sudden like, ooh, we know all these things are bad, and we still do. So cut it back, be smart. That's it. Do we have other questions?
Any other questions that you guys are thinking of? I have one more question. How do you feel like your newsletter will evolve in the next few years? Do you think and know how you want to change it or evolve it, or are you going to keep it the same until, is there a plan? Go with the flow?
Well, and again, this is a little bit different because my industry is a little bit different, but like my big goal for the coming years is to monetize it to a more strategic, this is my business. My whole business is sharing local news and just really making sure that look, I want this to be accessible, but pay for it. There's going to be ads, more ads than there already are. And just finding ways to kind of grow at all levels, so, upping that revenue, but also growing the audience, to make that, that more valuable to advertisers. But I also think for me, a big part of what I do is listening to the community as well. And so I do annual surveys of my email list just to see who's following, just basic demographic data, and things like that. And it just helps me when I'm it just helps me be strategic when I do something like a Facebook ad to get more leads, or, what kind of stories do I want to share? What kind of things? So, for me, it's a lot of just strategy and growth.
I like that. Mine is not so much strategy. I'm going to say, I think my newsletter, I kind of trail things with it. It's almost more like a blog or a journal, and also hey, this is coming up soon. Do you want to grab tickets? But really, I mean, it's kind of shifted with me. As I first started, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to write about. Sure, let's throw this out here. And then as soon as I started it every single month, I'm like, God, I really do have a lot of things I can tell people. And I mean, one month it was just talking about my mom dying, and I'm like, I know that's really personal. A lot of people wouldn't want to put it out there, but also I was putting it out there. I'm like, I'm not doing anything right now. This is why. And it was kind of nice to have a lot of connections, and a lot of people weren't like, oh, she fell off the radar. They knew why and what happened. So I was okay for taking a little hiatus and things there. But now, instead of just popping on every month and saying, here's what I did last month, I'm also popping in and saying, okay, I've got all these classes for the month. So I send out one strategic to say everything that's coming up. And then I send out little targeted ones right before, because I know people don't buy tickets till a couple days before normally. So I'm growing it as I'm finding my need. When I just did one class every once in a while, it wasn't quite the same thing. I guess we'll see where it goes later. I'm hoping I'm doing more community events and more big things like that. So maybe I'll be gathering information a little bit differently down the road. No strategy.
Sounds like strategy to me.
Sure.
Does anyone else have any questions for them? Okay, are you guys good with me closing it out?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys for coming tonight. I know that it's a busy month for everybody, but we appreciate it. Next month is on November 11th, the second Tuesday of November. And we're going to have Kate Vandell, which is a grant specialist from the South Dakota Arts Council, as well as Maren Engel, who is the arts coordinator of the city of Sioux Falls. They're going to talk about grants and opportunities for artists and resources to help, with your application or request to get a grant. So please try to join us for that. Please follow us also on Facebook. There also is a watering can artist community group that is closed to the public. It's just for us artists here that want to connect. So join that. Ask us questions later if you want to be a part of that. And then stay in touch. Join these ladies' newsletters. Go find some more newsletters that you like and try to start acquiring some emails, because maybe you don't want to do it this year, but maybe you do in the next 2, 5, 10 years, and you'll have a long email list. So thank you guys. Yay!
Finish.